Just off the training pitch, is that?
Yeah. Just in between storms, in between storms. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, big storm coming tomorrow. Heading out to Dublin in the storm, I guess. I didn't think of that. That's going to be quite an adventure tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, getting there is going to be the first adventure. So, we'll make sure that we do what we can to be safe, and we are chartering, so it does allow us a bit of flexibility, which is good.
Yeah, hopefully it passes without any major disruption, and you all get to go. I'll get straight to it. George North, has he trained? Is he fit? Is he available?
He's not available, but he has trained, yes. He has trained, and he's trained quite a lot, which is good. He was due to be around the Zebra game, our next game, and nothing's happened to think that that's not going to be the case, so that's exciting for us. It's probably the right time, so Dan Lydiot's trained and is available this week. Brad Davis is trained and is available this week. We've got some good news on the injury front, which is fantastic. You'll ask me about Alan Wynne-Jones, so I might as well tell you now. He's not trained, but he is on track for where he is, and I know that he has a significant consultation next week, which will give us an idea about whether he's going to make the end of the Six Nations or not.
So with George then, Zebra again, he's looking sharp in training, he's hit all his targets. And
yeah, he's been out there. We obviously have to, it's a bit of a push and a pull thing, so his body's reacting to obviously training and backing up training days, so there's a little bit of in and out, but no, he's trained fully today, he's trained fully three times this week, which is great.
And obviously a booster Dan back and available. How's he looking? Is he
jumping
a little bit?
Yeah, he's been around a little bit. We just had to back down a little bit for him. We were very close to the Edinburgh game for him being available. So, we've just had to recalibrate a little bit. But yeah, no, he's looking forward to it.
As a squad, you're looking forward to it. I'm sure after that Edinburgh win gave you confidence. You've got some decent wins this season, but Leinster away is it's probably the toughest task you can ask for.
Yeah. One that we obviously achieved last year, so that should give us some confidence. But we're not in a situation where we can creep up and surprise people, because that's the price that you pay for being more visible in that space. So. Look, we're excited about it. You always want to. I've said this before. You always want to test yourself against the very best, and they're the very best. So, and irrespective of it being the Six Nations window, there's a fallow week. I'm sure people are coming back, or if they're not, they've got an unbelievable strength in depth. So, it's always going to be very, very tough to play away from home. But if we want to make progress, we've got to keep pushing ourselves and marking ourselves against the best.
Yeah, you alluded to it there. Last year you did exactly that, winning away there. It was a magnificent win. How much have you spoken about that, and how much confidence does that give you?
I think it's a great experience especially for the Mighty Ducks that went there, from that point of view. So that was a nice moment in time, but as you said, that's last season, this is this season, and we're completely different. The whole situation is completely different. And it was a good thing to do because the Ospreys had not done it for a very, very long time. So from that point of view, it's an experience that the people can reflect on. But yeah, its relevance for this year is virtually zero.
Yeah, and with Dan Lydiot, do you expect him to start this weekend, or will it be eased him back in off the bench?
I think he's been out for a long time. I think that. There's two ways of looking at things. Is he able, physically able? Yes, of course he is. But it's unrealistic for him to play, an 80-minute performance really. So you either start and get him out, or you let him come home, with the wind in his sails. So we'll probably adopt slightly different approaches for all those boys that come back. We don't see him necessarily completing the whole 80 minutes, but whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench, he'll have an impact because of the player he is and the leader that he is.
it's been a good effort for him to come back, because he would have been around, well, he would have been 33, I think, when the injury happened. So, yeah, commendable effort, and he must have put in a huge amount of work.
Yeah, there's been a huge amount of work put in, a lot of, mental strength required to get past that, and also a lot of, people that have, as we've done with Gareth Anscombe before, and a lot of, Alan Wynne and Tipperick now and bits and pieces. Any players, not just international players, that are out for long term require a hell of a lot of support and a very coordinated programme of rehab, both mentally and physically. So, yeah, we've got all those structures in place, and we've got a good programme, that, as produces international rugby players, as you've seen in recent weeks, and get people playing at the very best of their ability. And when you've got someone of the ability of, say, Dan Lydiate, getting him back is really important for the group, and it reflects well on the programme that we've got.
Are you expecting George to play any part in the Six Nations if he's returning in the first week in March for you?
I think the first thing is just get George playing, and then, like all of these things, those decisions, there's context to everything. Do people need him to play? How much does he need to play? Is it a necessity to play? All we need to do for George is get him back out there and be confident in his body, as we would with any player that's coming back from that sort of injury.
And with Justin, the initial plan was for him to potentially return for the Christmas derbies. Obviously, that took a direct hit. Are you expecting to see him at all this season on the pitch?
No.
You're not, do you?
No, we're not.
So it's next season. There's nothing more significant than that.
No, it's just the time. The nature of the injury is never been seen in rugby before. It's an injury that's more resemblant of a road traffic accident. So we need to make sure that we are in a 100% the right position for him to come back safely.
So it was his scapula, you said, that was damaged, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How did the injury happen? Do you know that?
Well, obviously he wasn't with us, so it was a collision injury and a direct impact injury. So if it's like a motorbike accident when you hit the road, So it's that sort of level of impact. And if you're in a position on the ground and you can't move, the force has to go somewhere, and it goes through the body rather than through the floor. So, that's what the nature of the injury. And we got back to, as you say, in December, which is the most encouraging thing, the fact that we got him to such a point where we'd alleviate the majority of those things. But the last little bit, as always, is the hardest little bit, and luckily we found it before he took the pitch, and could have re-injured himself. So we're in a situation now where we need to give the true amount of rehab and diligence to what is a significant injury. So, yeah, there's no rush to get him back. We just want to get him back and get him back playing, as we all do, to the best of his ability.
A couple of things on Scott Baldwin. A, how pleased are you to have secured a player of his calibre? And B, can we expect to see him this weekend?
It's too soon for him to play this weekend. He's only been in the building for a couple of days, so that's unrealistic in relation, especially as a hooker with line-out calls and things like that. So, yeah, we'll just try and get him up to speed as quickly as we can. Obviously, it comes off the back of, a horrific situation for the Ospreys around Evan, and there was an opportunity where he wanted to come back to Wales because of his own personal situation. So, and I'd worked with Scott before at Harlequin, so I knew him, I knew what he could bring, and he still has aspirations to play at the very top level, play international rugby, and coming back to Wales will facilitate, his own ambition. So that can only be a good thing. We've got, very good strength and depth in that position now, with Sam and obviously Elvis, but obviously Dowie, who's gone exceptionally well for Wales. And if you want people to perform at their best and push the team on, you need competition for places. And that's probably become, as you've talked about previously at Looseheads, one of the most competitive positions that we have.
Yeah, and winding up really, from me anyway, what have you made of the efforts of a couple of your boys in the Six Nations, like Owen Watkin, you mentioned Dowie, Adam Beard, I guess, and Tom Francis, these guys.
Yeah, I think that from an Osprey, with my Ospreys hat on, obviously it's great. Wales, bouncing back from a result point of view, but from a performance point of view, from our boys, I thought they were very significant and very visible last weekend in different aspects, from try scoring to line breaks to accurate line out throwing to having impacts in the game. And you want your players to have an impact in the game, which if you look at, say, an Adam Beard, who's now in 12 months and working with him day in and day out, has got him into a vice captain position, so that you can see how important he is now to Wales. So again, it's not another good advert about investing into your players, being very specific on their development and working with them to be the best that they can be. And if everyone benefits, we benefit, the Ospreys, by having more strength in depth and a good team. But also Wales benefit because obviously now they're getting players that are at the top of their game, and that's what this is all about.
And last question, really, but Owen Watkin really justified your faith, didn't it? You said a few weeks ago, he'd improved his game. Yeah,
again, he's another great example of impactful moments. He was very impactful from the first kick-off from a line break, and was decisive, and was involved with the last turnover in the game as well. So from that point of view, him being part of that centre partnership, and he can't control whether he gets completely picked or not, but once he gets that opportunity, he's got to take it. And we talk about being ready here. He was certainly was ready for his opportunity and took it with both hands, which was great.
Great, Toby. We hope you have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Successful trip out there.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks.
Toby, will you take any guidance from or help from that Cardiff win over Leinster?
Well, we've looked at it, obviously, but they've played Edinburgh since then as well. So no more from as we would any analysis. I think that everyone knows. If you look at in any sport, the market leaders, the people you recognise as the people at the top of the tree, they have all very clear identity of what they do, and they won't change for anyone. There'll be a few little tactical elements that people adjust, of course, for specifics. But you play Leinster, you know what you're going to get. They're going to try and play fast. They're going to play with high skill. They're going to try and dominate the breakdown and get on top of you at set piece. They're an all-court team, right? So. Yes, you can look at how people manage to disrupt them and little advantages, but we've got to back ourselves to do what we need to do. And if we can do that, then we'll be competitive. And if we don't, then we won't. And we know what that challenge is, which is no different to every week, but against Leinster, it gets magnified even more.
We were very frustrated, Dean Ryan, on an hour or so earlier, talking about the disjoint between the Welsh team and the regions, and nobody really in that space trying to resolve it. Do you see any advancement in that area from the time you've been here, or any real hope at the moment we get a resolution?
It's a difficult one because I don't know what's gone on before, so it's difficult for me to say, look, has it improved or what as it is. I'm certainly having dialogue with them, but in relation to when players come back, availability of players being all joined up, it's a very difficult thing to join up, right? So the one thing I do absolutely agree with is in order for Wales to be successful, you need successful regions. For regions to be successful, you need successful talent pipelines. For talent pipelines to work, you need appropriate playing programs and coaching and development and all the infrastructure around that to become a more continuous thing. So whether that's the Premiership, whether that's age grade stuff, it's all has to be joined up to the same goal, right? And we all want the same things. So I think the thing that that's coming out of this is we need, all of us from regional, international, need as much depth of talent as we can get, and we have to all look, because we all play a part in making that happen. It can't be just one top down, it can't be all bottom up. But unless it's all coordinated, then it becomes in spite of, not because of.